We have some huge info from the Warhammer Fest Q&A. That was not recorded because it was sort of after the stream, but there's some very important information in there, as well as talking about the starter box, or the lack thereof, or not the lack thereof. So let's jump in and show you. So earlier today, I reported that there was this tweet where it said that there will be no starter box for the game. It's assumed that it's not your first world game. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit weird. That's actually so crazy. But Eddie, who's one of the people who was on the panel, he's actually one of the people who works for GW, he said, that's not quite what we said. It won't have a starter set like Horus Heresy doesn't have a starter set. Starter sets include stuff like boards and get started books, and assume that you've not played a Warhammer game before. Basically, it's not going to be a beginner's box, but there probably will be a launch box. That makes sense. We're all on board with that. We're okay with that. Panic averted. Yeah, looks like that was just a misunderstanding on the event. Glad it's being corrected sort of quite quickly. And then this person has compiled the information from the Q&A and put it onto Reddit. So let's go through, because it is possible that Mordheim is coming back. That's literally the first one that they say. No plans for Mordheim yet, but if things go well, maybe. That's very exciting in my personal opinion. I really like the idea. Obviously, we don't know how well Warhammer the Old World will do, but I will say that the reception in the hall was very high for it. Well, judging off the stream, I wasn't actually in the hall. And then another huge one here is that I was hoping for this, and they've confirmed that this is actually going to happen. There's going to be a document before the release showing the base size. Now, I would prefer that that happens sooner rather than later, but at least it's coming before release. Most base sizes are going up, well, we sort of knew that. Even at the end of Warhammer Fantasy, the models were starting to overhang. Cavalry are getting bigger bases, and most inventory is going up as well. Well, it depends how soon. If it's like 1 week before, that's not really good enough, so let's hope. Now this, I did not see coming, because this wasn't really a faction in 8th edition, but there are rules for Chaos Dwarfs. They're not going to be a faction that's in focus, as in they're not going to get any new models or anything, but there's actually going to be rules for them. Pretty hype for those people who enjoy them. I sort of enjoy them, but I have no idea where I would even buy them. They're effectively a proxy army, I think. I don't think GW has anything for sale that's even vaguely Chaos Dwarfs. Well, maybe they do, but I don't know it. It sounds like they're not simplifying stuff. Now, this is a little bit of a disappointment. I think they should have simplified this game a little bit, but that's not to say it should be overly simplified. It shouldn't be your, like, first starter game, which is what they're saying here. It's not the best way to start your Warhammer journey, which I guess is how they're positioning this. They're saying, hey, this is an in-depth game. We're not going to make it super easy for you to get into. We sort of almost don't want you to get into it, I guess, in a way. We'd prefer you were into Age of Sigmar or 40k. There are popular games. They're basically saying here it's going to be like 7th edition. There's not going to be any massive changes. It's a little bit disappointing, but I sort of get it. I think we've already touched on this. It sounds like they said there wouldn't be a starter box like Horus Heresy didn't get a starter box. So whatever Horus Heresy was, that's, I think, what we can expect. Sounds like there's a miscommunication there, so let's not stress about it. They did say they'll make boxes to make it easier to get into a specific army though, so we'll possibly get like army boxes. To be fair, we already have start collecting boxes for other games. It would make sense that we will get them for the Old World. I'm a little bit confused by this one. It says, for army books, the focus is on factions in the Old World. So we sort of knew that because they said that on the stream. Then they'll reassess whether that's the way they should carry on. No promise of an army book for every faction. So I think what they're saying is that they're actually trying to condense the number of factions down just to the ones in the Old World, but the rest of you will have rules. It's just that they may literally never get extra models, which is worrying, but understandable in a way. Now, they do say that they may eventually do upgrades compatible with the old kits, but that's not really likely. It's far more likely that you'll just simply get new kit. After the Chaos Dwarfs one, my mind literally went to the Dogs of War. However, they say Dogs of War is not in the initial focus. That doesn't necessarily mean they will or won't have rules, so I am intrigued where that's going. And then this is one that I have been saying will be the case, and people have been doubting me, but basically here they say that Lizardmen will not get a re-release of the old kits. They basically expect you to use the new kits, and there will be a document showing the relevant base size that you should need for those. Now, it sounds like the new stuff for AOS is unlikely to be ported back to Warhammer Fantasy, so I'm guessing that means that maybe like the Cities of Sigmar stuff, that might not be overly relevant. And there's not going to be a re-release of the old kits where they actually have stuff for them, but they will give you the base size for the new stuff. That makes perfect sense. Stuff where there's like a direct correlation, like Saurus Warriors, Warriors of Chaos, that kind of thing, they're not going to give you new models, and nor are they going to give you the old models. They just want you to buy the new one, and they don't want to stress about it. If they are coming, but in the very far future, which is a little bit weird considering what we saw about the Total War trailers, I thought that would have been sooner rather than later. Turns out that's not the case. What's the best way you can prepare for the Old World? Well, they say paint your minis, but do not put them on bases. which is a little bit awkward because it's way easier to paint on a base in my opinion. But they say unless you're very confident. So pretty much if you're doing, you know, standard infantry, you know they're going to be on 25 mil. But personally, anything beyond that, I am not confident. There are going to be new units for Bretonnians that we just haven't seen before. So we're not just talking about like foot knights coming back or anything like that. There's literally just going to be new units that are completely fresh. That's good to see. Interesting to hear as well. Currently, no plans to bring back the old Forge World monsters at the moment, but there are plans to have rules for them, which is a little bit weird. It's weird to have rules for stuff that you actually can't buy or GW don't sell at all. Sort of requesting a proxy in a way. And again, here they just reiterate that the Warhammer Community Time has sort of corrected what the understanding was in the hall. It sounds like multiple people thought that the starter set wasn't actually going to come, but it sounds now like that Eddie Eccles is actually corrected that and saying there probably will be a launch box. He actually doesn't say that there will be a launch box, but he's saying it won't be a classic starter box, so you can assume that there will be a launch box. Will it be Bretonnians and Tomb Kings? That would make sense, but we'll have to wait and see. So just some really huge information there. The Chaos Dwarfs make an appearance. That is the one that sort of surprised me the most. It's exciting to hear that we may actually get Mordheim back. They're not ruling that out. Confirmation that the rules probably aren't changing very much. It's not being simplified in any meaningful way. It's interesting that they're trying to condense it to sort of like a small number of factions that are going to be the focus of the entire game. Again, confirmation that the old models that have got new models like Lizard Men and the Warriors of Chaos, they're expecting you to buy the new stuff. They're not going to re-release the old stuff. Cathay is coming out in the future. Bretonnians are getting new stuff. Just very interesting stuff. Oh, it's very good news that we're going to get a PDF with the base sizes on, but I really want that sooner rather than later. You're sort of hurting people's hobby by not doing that. You're not letting people prepare. So I would love to see that now, basically. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think about the reveals? I've already gone through actually what we saw today in a different video. If you want to support me and help me grow the channel, becoming a Patreon is truly the best way. Other than that, I hope you have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.